has been calling on us to do just that for 14 years, with many successes along the way. When you see something, say something at 1millionmoms.com. That's 1millionmoms.com.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network live radio show right here for this Tuesday, April the 23rd, 2024. Tim Wildman here with Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Christopher Woodward.
Good morning. I'd like to take a moment to say happy birthday to my mom. Happy birthday, Sheila.
Happy birthday, Sheila.
Hey, we'll get back to that in a minute. Ray Pritchard. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Tim. How you doing today?
Doing well. You got any happy birthdays you need to shout out there?
No, but happy birthday to Chris's mom. I love it. It's great.
Sheila?
Sheila.
Happy birthday, Sheila. So what are you getting her, Chris? Where are you taking her to dinner and all that good stuff?
Well, we were just talking, her schedule's kind of up in the air right now with some other priorities, but we, Lord willing, we'll get together for to break bread here very soon.
Okay, but you're not telling her today or nothing, right?
No. Not to the woman who brought me into this world and can take me out.
No.
All right. Well, Dr. Frank Turk will be along in just a few minutes. We look forward to visiting with Frank as we normally do on Tuesdays. Do you want to say something?
Well, when you finish, I didn't want to interrupt you. This was a hang on. I got something.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
A little bit of housekeeping before we get to the program of today. We've got two events coming up. One event is AFA at the Ark. It's October 31st through November 2nd. And just in the last few days, we've opened up registration. Last year, we filled all the way up. And then we had to obviously tell people to wait till next year. So it's going to fill up.
Turn people away last year?
You said it that way. I said tell them to come back to next year. But it's the same thing, right?
Okay. Well, you said what you're saying is this sold out last year. It'll sell out again.
That's right.
So what is this exactly?
AFA at the Ark, October 31st through November 2nd. This is where myself and along with Tony Vitagliano and other staff members from AFA, we go up to the Ark. We are adding.
You're talking about Ken Ham's Ark?
Ken Ham's Ark, that's right, in Williamstown, Kentucky.
Right.
We will go visit the Ark for one day. But this year, because of how well last year went, we're adding one day where we go visit the Creation Museum as well.
Together as a group?
Together as a group. So 200 of our AFR listeners and supporters will go, and we will meet them, myself, Tony Vitagliano, our families, and some of the staff members from AFA. We'll spend a couple days visiting with 200 of our listeners at the Ark and at the Creation Museum. It's about a 3-day event, and we look forward to that. That's one event coming up. Also, Men of Honor, we are taking registrations for that. Men of Honor is a local, at our headquarters, summer ministry for young men where we disciple them in the Word of God, and we learn skills such as changing a tire, yard maintenance, how to cook, things like that. So we'll do all those things this summer at our headquarters. Registration is open for that now. Both of those events can be found at afa.net/events. There you can, all the information I just shared and more.
Forward slash or backward slash?
Let me see. I'm from Mississippi and dyslexic at the same time, so that's going to be.
You don't have to apologize for being Mississippi.
Backward, forward slash.
Ray's from Alabama. He doesn't go around.
I don't apologize for any of that.
No, it wasn't an apology. It's just
Right.
It was context.
Right. Yeah.
It
is what it
That's
is.
right. afa.net/events. You can find both of those with all the details, and both of those require registration, so you're going to want to go.
Obviously.
Yep.
So AFA at the Ark, and it's going to be is Walker going?
Walker would have been going, but Walker and his wife will be having their 5th baby.
Yeah,
the same week.
Kind of a lame excuse, but anyway.
Sort of, maybe.
Yeah.
For not to travel. You can
Not
travel
to
and have a
travel,
baby.
that's
Let
right.
women have babies in vans.
That's right. I'll do it all the time, right?
A couple
Do it all
more,
the
and
time.
Walker's house is going to have its own zip code.
No, he may find a way to sneak away, but
Is Alex going? Do you know? Or
Right now, Alex came with us last year. At this point, he's not coming with us this year. We've already got speakers from the Ark who have offered to. Be
Oh,
our
you're going to
speaker.
have, oh, okay.
Yep.
What about Ken Ham?
He'll be one of them. Yep.
Really?
Well, he
Wow.
was last year.
Yeah.
We're still in discussion if that's a possibility this year, and it would only be because of his schedule. So we're still working at a schedule. We hope that
Ken's
he
a
can
great
be
guy.
Very good, very good. And then, of course, Men of Honor is our discipleship program for young men that AFA offers this summer at our headquarters.
The AFA at the Ark, when is that again? October
31st through November 2nd.
And where can people read more about this?
If they go to afa.net//events, we have all the information there. Any question that you may have.
Gotcha.
Hey, Ray, I wanted to get an update on your health situation.
Well, this is day 88 of 180 days of treatment for prostate cancer, and this is day 10 of 28 days of radiation. And so a couple hours ago, I was there at the University of Kansas Hospital and under the big thing, and it takes about 6 or 7 minutes a day. And Tim, I was thinking about this actually this morning, laying under there where that big machine comes over you, and you don't feel anything, but you can hear it. It kind of reminds me when I'm getting that radiation of a mechanical sprayer, bzz, 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 like you're spraying your spraying your garden or something. I think this morning they were spraying my petunias, and so
That's one way to put it.
You lay there and you just think about you lay there and just think about things, and basically, other than being tired, I'm doing fine, and the doctor says it's good. So we got about another 3 weeks to go of radiation, and then some more hormone treatment. But should be all done with everything by the end of July. And doctor's positive. He says we're gonna cure this thing, which I like that.
Amen. We all like to hear the word cure, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. Well, listen, we'll keep praying for you. I know it's you said it makes you tireder than normal. Right.
Unbelievable. It's just, and the radiation was already pretty bad with the hormone, but the radiation was just a big kick in the face. But that's just what you go through.
Yeah.
Right now, feel great. And when the program's over, I may have to lay down and take a nap. It's just strange that way.
All right, not to go too far on this, but I'm just
sir.
curious because I've never had radiation before. I've known people who have, but so you're in this machine and it's zapping you, so to speak?
Yes. Yes.
This is why I didn't make medical school. Right there.
It kind of you're not actually, it's not like an MRI where you're inside the machine, but there's huge arms and it's very sci-fi. They're passing this way and they're passing.
Yeah, because how do they know where to go? You just lay there, you strap down?
They put gold. There's little pieces of gold inside me. They call them fiducial markers, which will never be taken out, by the way. They'll be with me till I go to heaven. And somehow those machines, they aim in on those little pieces of gold, and it tells these multi-million-dollar machines where to spray the stuff. So you hear it. I don't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
I want more. Keep going.
Well, you got gold.
I got gold inside me.
Got gold inside you, and the radiation knows that's where to shoot.
Yeah,
that Rosalind Capital guy wants to talk to you.
He wants to talk. They called 3 times in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
They triangulate off the 3 little they're the size of like little pieces of rice or something, they say. That's all I really know.
That's it? No, come on.
No, I think we're 0 for 4 on medical school right here.
Yeah.
Thank God for doctors and nurses that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Specialists.
Let me say 2 other things. One thing you learn is cancer is no respecter of persons, because they got about 6 of these machines here at the big hospital. And I mean, guys, they're going from 7:30 in the morning till 5:36 at night. And when one guy finishes, or a woman could be, one finishes, another comes in, and they do the radiation for every kind of cancer you can think of. So as I'm walking out, the next guy's walking in. As I'm checking out, going up the stairs, and you see people. See, cancer is no respecter of persons. That's one thing. And number 2, I just want to say thank you to the AFR family. So many of our listeners have said they're praying for me, and that means a great deal.
Amen.
A great deal.
Amen, brother. All right. Well, we will continue to lift you up, and in prayer, and I'd advise men to get their prostate checked.
Uh-huh.
Once
If you're 50 or over, get your PSA checked. It's
Yeah.
really simple blood test. Get it checked.
I do that, and I do the hello test too.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
You
I
mean
think
turn-
all
you
men
mean-
know what I'm talking
You mean
about.
turn your head and
I'm
call?
coming up on that age.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying hello,
Hello.
hello.
Oh, that one.
That
oh,
test.
Oh,
You
that
get
one.
to know your
Yes,
doctor a little
yes,
better.
Yes, yes.
I don't
Or,
know.
or really, he gets to know you a little
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
so-
Oh, for sure. There go.
But look, if you consider the alternative, it's
No, I
far
know.
better.
Yeah,
Far better to do that.
No, that's right. At least once. I do once. I do that once a year, but I'm 61. But you should. Men, you say post 50 should do
50,
that.
yeah.
And that. What did you say? What is that?
PSA.
Yeah. Test. All right, you're listening to today's issues, and not the medical advice today. But we do advise you to get your checkups annually to catch cancer early, because that's the survival rate goes way up the earlier you're able to do that. All right, you're listening to today's issues. We want to welcome our good friend Dr. Frank Turk to the stage. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, gentlemen. Big news today. I don't know if you saw it on the Babylon Bee. Biden unveils official campaign slogan, "Death to America."
Death to America. Oh, that's
real.
dark. That's dark humor right there from the Babylon Bee.
This just in, yes.
Yeah, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing just fine. Good to hear that Ray's doing well.
Yep.
I'm also tired every day because I have this condition known as 62.
I hear you. Have you been on any college campuses recently?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
The past few weeks, we were at Southeastern Louisiana State University. We were at University of Buffalo and Boise State up there in Idaho.
What were you doing?
I don't have enough faith to be an atheist, giving people evidence that Christianity is true and taking a whole bunch of questions. And people can see all that on our YouTube channel because we live stream it. Just go to the Cross Examined YouTube channel and 2 words, Cross Examined, and click on live. You'll see all the campus events we do.
What was your turnout between all of them combined? Y'all have a pretty good turnout?
Yeah, in fact, every room's filled. So let's see. We had about 350, I want to say, in Louisiana, and we had 400 in Buffalo, and the room only held 250 in Idaho, but we had a overflow room, so we had about 400 there. But we have at least 10,000 watching online in the first 12 hours past the event. So,
When you go to these college campuses and do these, are these like an open forum, or do you speak and then you take questions, or is it a debate setting, or what exactly?
I speak and then take questions, and
Okay.
a lot of times the questions will go on for an hour. I think at Buffalo we had an hour and a half of questions, so
Wow.
people like to ask
What's the
questions.
most commonly asked question?
How did you get to know Tim Wildman?
Well, yeah, that is.
Everybody wants to know,
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, and why do
Inquiring
you,
minds.
and secondly, why do you maintain a relationship with him?
It's the real
And-
question.
And all right, so let me guess the number one question you
Go
get
ahead.
without, and I may have asked you in the past, but I'm gonna. How could if you say God is so good, why does He allow evil in the world, or some form of that?
That's a biggie. In fact, I would say that 90% of the questions come in one of 4 categories. They all begin with the letter E. If God, why evil? Just like you said. You also get questions on evolution, versus, say, intelligent design or creation. You also get questions on eternity. Why did God create people He knew would go to hell? What about those that have never heard? Those kinds of questions. And then you also get questions on ethics, LGBTQ stuff. You get questions on why did God kill the Canaanites, which is also a variation of the evil question. So evil, evolution, eternity, and ethics.
All right.
And we have an app, the Cross-Examined app, and we have
Very good app.
questions that are in those 4 categories on the app and short answers to them.
You
so
recommend
people
the
can
app,
check that out.
Wesley?
I recommend it, and if you're looking for ways to be strengthened in your confidence and be able to articulate the biblical worldview on these discussions that we're talking about, these topics, that app is wonderful.
What's the app?
Yeah, 2 words in the App Store: cross-examined with a D on the end of it.
Loading it
Cross-examined.
now.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just curious. What's your answer when when somebody says, if God is so good, why does He allow evil in the world? Then I guess, are they presupposing they do believe in God?
Well, they're certainly presupposing a standard, but
Okay.
that standard only exists if God exists. Because if there is no God, there's no purpose to life, which means there's no right way to live it or wrong way to live it, which means nothing is ultimately good or bad. Everything's just a matter of opinion. You can't say, from an objective point of view anyway, that, say, murdering people is worse than loving them, because there's no purpose to life, and there's no standard of morality outside of ourselves if there is no God. Everything's just a matter of opinion. So they're presupposing a standard when they say, why is there evil? And that
Right.
standard can only exist if God exists, because, look, evil doesn't exist on its own. It only exists as a lack in a good thing. Like, for example, when Ray was talking about prostate cancer, cancer is an example of evil. If you take all the cancer out of a good body, you got a better body. But if you take all the body out of the cancer, you got nothing. So evil doesn't exist by itself. It only exists as a lack or a privation or a parasite in a good thing. Evil is like rust in a car. If you take all the rust out of a car, you got a better car. If you take all the car out of the rust, you got a Pinto.
Bada boom. Frank's got these Pinto jokes.
He's got
That's
'em.
right. And so, the younger folks are going, what?
No, Pinto.
People drove a bean?
Yeah. All right. So, how do you? Ray, go ahead. Do you have a question for Frank? I have 100.
Okay, Frank. These days, when you let's go to the ethics side of things, the LGBTQ, the transgendered stuff. What sorts of questions specifically now in just those 2 areas? What kind of questions are the folks asking you these days?
Well, we had a lady out at Fresno State. It wasn't so much a question. It was more a complaint that people like me or anybody that's a Christian somehow have blood on their hands if we don't affirm everything somebody wants to do. Now, it's quite interesting that this person didn't affirm what I was doing, but I didn't claim that she had blood on her hands, right?
Right.
Because she disagreed with me. Disagreement is not necessarily hate. If that were the case, then anybody who disagreed with you, you could call a hater. Now, I noticed that one side tends to do that quite a bit.
Yep.
All right. They say if you don't agree with us, you're a hater. But somehow they don't agree with us and we don't call them haters. No, disagreement is disagreement. It's not hate. Now, it could be, if you say, well, you should die because you disagree with me. But simple disagreement about a particular moral issue is not hate. So I needed to point that out. In fact, everything that this person said in this exchange, which, by the way, you can see on our YouTube channel, it's got over 500,000 views. Everything this person said was assuming a moral standard that she did not have in her worldview. Because if she's an atheist, there's no way to say that even hate is wrong. It would be just her opinion.
Hey, Frank, this is Wesley here. I will say, though, I did have fun one time when I did hijack the opponent's strategy and just started calling them haters before they even started talking. and now it was a liberal friend of mine, and LGBT wide open, buying the whole thing. And I did start with, "You're hating me because I'm a Christian." We didn't even get to the topic. And of course, it was funny because they spent 10 minutes apologizing for hating me when I was
Right.
just doing it tongue in cheek to make a point. And I was like, this is hilarious. And then of course we ultimately we ended up making some ground, but the point is that I used their strategy just for tongue in cheek to make a point, and they spent, like I said, 10 minutes apologizing, and I didn't really mean they were hating me. So, anyways, but I had a little fun with that.
Hater.
Yeah.
You know,
But the point is that human nature doesn't want to be a lot. Well, I say human nature. A lot of people don't want to be accused of hating. They don't want to hate.
Yeah. No,
And
no,
so-
I know that. Then you feel like you got to defend yourself
Right.
if somebody calls you
So
that.
it's a great strategy.
But let me go even. I know Frank's talked about this before too, but let me go even deeper on the presuppositions. And Frank can respond to this. I would say, and this sounds shocking when you say something like I'm about to say, but hear me out. You have to anyway, because I'm right here and I'm about to say it.
Live radio.
All right. So, I would say somebody says you're a hater. Okay, LGBT. They're an LGBT proponent, and they say you're a Christian, and yeah, you're a hater. Ray, I mean, Frank, what if I said, what's wrong with hate?
You can. I like that strategy. Yeah. Or you
Okay.
could say, the person I was talking to at Fresno State, she said she had certain rights. I said, where do rights come from? You have to challenge the assumption behind the question.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, because the people are assuming Christian principles while denying Christianity's truth.
Yeah, there you go. Bingo.
That bingo. That would be a good country song right there.
Yeah.
What you just said.
I was going to say a good title to a book.
Or title to a book right
on
there.
a more
It's pretty
serious
long,
note,
though.
yeah.
You'd have to make the words real small
Yeah.
on the front
By
of
the
the
way,
book.
it's interesting. When I was out in Idaho, the pastor's son was in a public school class in high school, and the teacher said, "Now we have to affirm somebody. If a boy says he's a girl, you have to affirm this person as a girl." And so the student said, "What if the person says I'm an animal? Do I have to affirm that person being an animal?" "Yes, you do." "What if the person says I'm a deer? Do I have to treat them like a deer?" "Yes, you do." "What if I have a hunting license? Can I shoot? Can I shoot that deer?" And the teacher got so exasperated, she just threw the kid out of the class. Because the logic just doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
You gotta start questioning
The teacher
assumptions.
was exasperated because the teacher had no answer to the question.
That's right.
That was consistent.
That's right.
By the way, have you heard about these furries?
Yes.
That's it.
Our Bronson Woodruff has a story about
Well,
furries.
tell us
starting
what
today.
this is, Chris, and where you ever won.
Well, furries, no. I can confirm I was never a furry, nor will I be.
Hey, I heard about this the
Yes.
first time a month ago. Somebody on our staff told me about this.
Yes.
What we're about to talk about, you may have never heard about this, folks, but this is a growing thing. What are we talking about?
Furries are people who say they're
They're
interested
usually
in,
kids.
Yeah, usually kids, usually teens or tweens. But furries are people who say they're interested in animals with human characteristics, and therefore they want to dress in animal costumes. Sometimes they wear a hood of an animal head on their heads, and they want to behave as though they are an animal, even if it's in a classroom with other kids who are expected to behave during tests or learning time.
Yeah, this isn't Halloween. Dress up. These people. This is they are identifying as whatever animal they're dressing up as, and they're serious about it.
Correct. I am not a doctor. I have a BA in communication from what amounts to an A&M university, but this appears to be a mental disorder.
You think, Chris?
Yes.
Chris is on to something right here.
Hey, I'm going to put that video that I mentioned with the person at Fresno State in the Facebook comments here.
Okay.
So people can see it.
Okay,
if I
so
can
go to
figure out
you mean
how to
our
do that.
Today's Issues Facebook page.
There it is right there. Boom.
Okay, Today's Issues Facebook page. You can watch what Frank's talking about right there. All right, Frank, what you got coming up this Saturday? Do you know yet?
This Saturday, going to have the great Bobby Conway on. He's just written a new book about some of these common objections you get to Christianity, so you can tune in for that.
Okay, that's 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Saturday morning Central Time right here on American Family Radio. Dr. Frank Turk with Cross Examine. All right, Frank, take care. We'll see you next time.
Hey, God bless you guys. Don't forget, Death to America, Biden's new slogan.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
Robert E. Lee was a Southern general during the war between the states. Most of us know that from the history books which we have read. But often the history books fail to tell us much about the personal lives of famous people. Years after the war had ended, Robert E. Lee was sitting on his porch one day in his rocking chair. The years had taken their toll on him, and his health was fast failing. While there on the porch, he was approached by two men who came from the Louisiana lottery. They came to make him a proposition. Their proposition would have made Lee a rich man. He listened carefully as they laid out their plans, but he found it hard to believe what he heard. So Lee asked the men to repeat their offer again, thinking perhaps he had not understood their offer. Again they made their pitch. The men didn't want Lee to invest any money. All they wanted was the use of his name for promotional purposes to use in their lottery. And just for the use of his name, they promised to make him rich. Lee stood up, rising slowly. He balanced himself on his crutches. He stood erect, looked the men in the eye, and with the courage and conviction that made him great, he spoke some hot-tempered words. "Gentlemen," he said, "I lost my home in the war. I lost my fortune in the war. I lost everything I had in the war except my name. My name is not for sale. And if you don't get out of here at once, I will hit you in the head with my crutch." Anger. We have tended to associate it with wrong. We have forgotten that there is such a thing as righteous indignation, holy anger. Most folks think that when you get angry, it's the devil which causes you to do so. I would guess that most of the time it is the devil which causes you to get angry. But often anger is the evidence of the love of God in one's heart. The carpenter went into the temple courtyard one day, saw what had happened there, saw how something intended for good had been turned into something evil, and he became very angry because of it. His holy anger, righteous indignation, caused him to turn over the tables of the money changers, and then gave him the courage to run some folks out of the temple. What many folks call tolerance, others call cowardice. Often when no anger boils up within us at the sight of wrong, it is simply because we've gotten to the place where we don't care. Wrong wouldn't stand much of a chance in our world if we could muster enough of this holy anger, this righteous indignation. Too often we've been told that what we should do is rid ourselves of anger. What we need to learn to do is not to rid ourselves of anger, but to harness this God-given emotion, to channel it for good purposes. You see, sometimes the tables need to be turned over.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. Colossians 1, verse 13.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. And Wesley, tell folks how they can engage this show in other ways.
The best way to do it, and we recommend downloading the AFR app, because with the AFR app, if you begin to lose signal with our terrestrial radio stations or our towers, you won't do that with the app. So I would recommend downloading the AFR app. There we also have an additional station, which is our music station, which you can't get anywhere else but the AFR app. You can also go to afr.net, as well as our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Today's Issues Live.
What kind of music is on there?
Contemporary Christian music. So a little bit of everything.
Do you have any songs on there?
I do not have any songs on there. And in fact,
does Ray?
Ray
no.
does not. I can answer for him. I can't answer for Ray on a lot.
Ray,
but I
you
can
have
answer
do you
for Ray
have
on
any,
that.
are you a singer there?
In the shower, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's about it.
Okay.
And I don't know who to blame, because is it either your generation
Blame
or the
for
one
what?
before that or one before that, because I can't find anywhere in any lineage, in any depth, that we have any musical talents.
And the Wildman
on
tree?
the Wildman.
No, you won't.
That's what I'm saying. So
No,
is it,
you
do
won't.
I blame
and
you?
I don't know. It goes way back.
Do I blame your parents?
My cousin can sing. One of my cousins.
One, okay.
One of my cousins can sing.
Mom's side or dad's?
My dad.
Okay.
No, my uncle's son.
Okay.
That's my point. Okay.
My cousin. Yeah, but
My
but
cousin's
it's bad,
uncle's
it's
son's
bad
dog.
when you can look down at your family and go, yeah, we got one. We got one who can sing.
And it's
But
a
the
third cousin.
Well, now we got many who think they can.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not bad. I'm
Yeah.
not bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
No,
you. But it's hard to judge yourself.
Right.
You know, especially as a singer. I just know when some of our family members sing Silent Night at Christmas, it ruins the atmosphere.
It does.
I'll just say that. Huh?
Yeah, that's why we bring the little
Sweet,
children in.
sleep in heavenly peace. When they hit that high, that's the neighbors call the police.
But we learn, though. That's why we bring the children and the grandchildren.
Yes.
To
But if you have a whole bunch of people who can't sing together,
that's right. They kind of balance.
You can make joyful noise, and nobody's offending anybody else because they're not used to anything.
That's right. That's
of
right.
quality. You see what the logic there?
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues, but tell folks about. Did you tell folks about Pay's Facebook, YouTube, and
I mentioned briefly
our own streaming service?
Our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Facebook.
Today's Issues.
Today's Issues Live. Today's Issues Live, as well as go to afastreaming.net. That's afastreaming.
Our own. We prefer that you go to our own video streaming service if you want to watch the show.
You want to watch it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you can. It's streaming, not screaming. Okay. Streaming.afa.net. Streaming.afa.net. If they go there, it takes them about 2 minutes to sign up, right?
Yeah, most of our listeners already got an account, but if you don't have one, then you'll need to get one.
I shared a link again in the
Okay,
Facebook page.
Good, absolutely.
And the reason we're also pointing there is because a lot of the things we talk about, we end up putting links to that in our show notes. So if you're looking for something, you can go to any of those resources, and usually, and of course with Chris's help too as well. Where do you usually put that on yours?
On the links?
Yeah, the link.
I oftentimes when I look like I'm sitting here just typing on the computer while you guys are talking about today's issues,
You're
post
posting
the links to what you're talking about.
You're not putting your bets in for the games this weekend.
Not normally, but if it comes to that, I will say do check out the Facebook page for the show if you are listening on our Facebook page, because I have shared links to a lot of what Frank talked about in the previous half hour. I always share the link to Ray's website as well, and all of the AFA links from AFR, AFA, AFN. If it has an A in it and ends in .net, I probably share it.
All right, couple big stories. Well, there's three big stories out there that are in the news. I'll just let me list them, and we'll try to cover as many as we can. One is, if you've seen some of the news coverage in New York City, it's absolute mess on the two major college campuses, Columbia University and New York University, NYU. And what has happened is that these left-wing radicals, the pro-Hamas, the anti-Israel folks, have taken over the campuses, set up encampments, getting in conflict with the New York police officers because they don't have permits to be able to do this. But the terrible thing is, in many cases, the administrations are in favor of these folks. It's a very scary time, even in New York, as many Jews as live there, to be a Jew. in New York City right now, especially on these college campuses I saw yesterday. And these are, listen, these are, Ray, these are considered prestigious schools, okay?
Right,
Whether
right.
we do or not, the world considers these prestigious schools.
Columbia,
Columbia.
big time school.
Yeah, they
NYU,
produce a lot
big
of
time. Yeah.
Columbia produces a lot of journalists,
Yes.
right? They're known for that, Columbia Journalist School.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw yesterday, Ray, where Robert Kraft, who is the owner of the New England Patriots, and didn't he make his money off the Kraft?
I think the
Kraft family, the food business, isn't that?
I'll confirm that in a second. We do have audio of Mr. Kraft.
Okay, I hope I'm not wrong on that. I think he's
I'll look this up. What was it?
yeah, Robert Kraft. Do you know, Ray? Do you know how he made his money?
I don't know.
I'm wanting to say it's the Kraft food business, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But look it up. Anyway, he's a billionaire. You've seen him on TV because he's every time the New England Patriots win a Super Bowl, which has been like many, many times. You've seen his face. People know who he is. He's an alumni of Columbia University, and he's cut him off. He said, "I'm not going to support this."
Good for him.
He said, "This is." He gave him a lot of money. He said, "I'm not supporting this Jew hate that being fostered at this school." Does it say? Tell me when you run across how he made his money. You see the anyway. What were you going to say?
We do have audio of Mr. Kraft.
Okay, well, let's play that.
Okay, clip 5.
We can't have this intimidation that's filtering through all these colleges and the hate continue to grow and multiply the way it is.
Okay, he's 80-something years old. I don't know how old he is exactly, but anyway, those were his comments. And you have had a lot of rich people who give to these liberal schools have taken their money out in the last year over this kind of thing.
Yeah, Columbia's lost money. Harvard has lost
Harvard's
money.
lost a lot of money.
It's lost a ton of money. University of Pennsylvania has lost money. Look, New York City. Here's the strangeness of this situation. New York City is the largest Jewish city in the world. Most people don't know that. More Jews in New York City than in Haifa or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. Okay, so New York City it's been a highlight. It's been and the Jewish community in Brooklyn is enormous. So what a conundrum that in the largest quote Jewish city, if you want to say it that way, in the world, you not just have anti-Semitism, but it's dangerous now for Jewish people, American citizens, to go out to eat in certain restaurants, to walk certain streets. And I would say certainly if you're a Jewish student, wouldn't you think twice about setting foot on your own campus at Columbia or NYU?
I saw yesterday where a Jewish professor at Columbia was denied entry onto campus. His security card was cut off, stopped. Mm-hmm. I guess because they didn't want him coming in there and being roughed up by the protesters.
Yeah, it's been very
dangerous,
tough several months now, I guess, for Jewish people. I do have audio also that relates to what we're discussing. It's a clip of Sophia Witt. She is with an organization called Students Supporting Israel, and she told me this morning that, Columbia today, your campus tomorrow, so be advised. Clip 12.
If Columbia leadership is this lackadaisical in institutional, reassurance and safety, what's stopping, the smaller schools or the less quote unquote elite schools from going in and doing the same thing? If it is happening at Columbia, it could happen anywhere.
So that's one big news story. Another big news story is this division in the Republican ranks in Washington, D.C. over some legislation. Okay, so you have Speaker Mike Johnson, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he has sent over legislation from the House of Representatives that passed having to do with funding. He sent over 3 bills funding the Ukraine war, fund Israel, and then fund Taiwan, was it?
Mm-hmm.
and then he sent that over to the.
You left out the one. There's another bill where they funded the border, the United States
You're
border.
joking. They didn't fund the border.
Oh, that's right. They
This
didn't
does.
fund the
you're
United States
You're making
border.
a backwards point here.
Yeah.
They didn't fund. There's no money in there to fund security of the border, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
So anyway, this has created. We don't know what's going to happen in the Senate.
Right.
Exactly. So this has created some division in the Republican ranks.
Right.
Am I right?
Mhm.
Yep.
On the one side, you have President Trump and Speaker Johnson, and their argument is that we have a one-vote majority.
That's
So
right.
Speaker Johnson can't get a lot done that he wants to get done because of that reason. It's very tenuous, right?
Yeah. Real quick.
That's what they're going to say.
That's right. And I have a whole lot of problems with this, but I do before we get into that, I do want to say that it is a big deal. The fact that that I believe it was Mike Johnson that got these divided up into 3 votes.
Yeah, and kudos for him for doing that.
Yes, because
That is
up to
good.
this point, everything's been an omnibus, put everything in
Right.
in one big pot, and
Right.
then we vote on it, and there's things in there we don't like.
Right.
So that
However,
however,
and there is a however here, Chris, right?
Yes, there is. So I've shared 2 links. We do have the aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan heads to the Senate for final approval. That is a story on afn.net, which is our website, the news organization here at AFA. The sidebar story that Tim mentioned there is a Daily Mail article which says Senate Republicans are trying to kill $95 billion bill giving what it calls corrupt Ukraine over $60 billion and Israel $26 billion. And the opposition here is because it has $0 for border security and could lead to a takedown of TikTok in the U.S. They crammed a whole bunch of issues into one bill. Shocker.
And this is the FISA situation, too. Allowing it to stay on in its current form. There's a lot of people, conservatives, particularly upset about this. So, listen, if I go too much beyond this, I'm going to get into things I don't really know or understand, which is rare for me. Why are you guys laughing? I'm feeling like mocked here. Okay.
No, Doc.
We're with you, Tim.
I was admitting my humility.
Hey, go ahead, Dr. Wildman.
Okay, I was going to
Dr.
admit
Wildman,
that.
give us your best.
But
Sure.
there's only so much of this stuff you can stick in your brain, right? And then,
That's right.
And then
You work in the news, don't you?
Yes, your brain hits tilt. Okay, so Ray, what? And then I know Wesley's getting. He wants to
Unleash.
go off on this too. Okay, so there's a lot of people that have problems that there's a division in the Republican ranks whether to give Ukraine money or not, right?
Right.
So just one thing. So Mike Johnson, he said he's going to vote yes on that. Did he vote yes on that to give money to
I don't
Ukraine?
I believe he did.
I think he
I'll
did.
look it up.
I think he did too.
He did too.
Now, President Trump is kind of at odds with MAGA.
Yep.
Because Trump is backing the money
Right.
to Ukraine. He says give it in the form of a loan, which Ukraine doesn't have to pay back, which I thought is just silly nonsense.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
A loan you don't have to repay.
That's
Not
what
a
he
It's called a
said.
gift.
I saw Trump the other day, and he's conducting the orchestra
Mhm.
as he speaks, with his hands, and he says, "Yes, we need to give it to Ukraine money, give it in the form of a loan, and if they don't want to pay it back, they don't have to pay it back." And I'm going like, "Excuse me, with all due respect, Mr. President,
That's an idiocy.
that
This
doesn't
is
even make any sense."
No.
So anyway, but I'm just telling you that Trump is at odds with a lot of his support base on this, as is Speaker Johnson.
Sure.
He's at odds with a lot of people who are his friends in Washington, D.C. Go ahead, Ray, and then Wesley.
Okay.
Number one, I think overall, Speaker Johnson, who has been he came into the office in an impossible situation, okay?
Right.
Totally impossible. It has only gotten worse. And he's not the cause of the problem. He's not the solution.
Right.
The Republican caucus, is that the right word for it?
Yeah.
It's torn apart.
Right.
Okay. They can barely agree on anything. So, in my judgment, I mean, I'd certainly give him a passing grade as a speaker. he had to do a whole lot of learning on the job, and so they've passed aid to Ukraine, right?
They did.
That is the issue at the Senate
It's
today.
gone to the Senate.
Gone to the Senate. Expect it to pass over there or not?
I would. Well, oftentimes the news will say, you know, there's opposition. Chances of it passing is unlikely, and that's true given the makeup of the Senate. But this is an election year, and some people want to be in office again next year.
Okay. It's my second question about this, because it has been confusing to understand what's going on. Was this bill that went from the House to the Senate was just about Ukraine, or was further funding for Israel there also?
It's funding for both Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Republicans wanted the separate bill, just a measure saying here's how much money we're going to do to Israel. That didn't fly with some members of the House, and that's why they did the package deal.
Because if you remember a couple weeks or maybe a month back, they had all three of these plus funding for the border, the United States border, even though that funding had all its issues.
It did.
And so what they're doing now is they're dividing them up into three.
Now, supporters of this package deal say it's still giving money to Israel. It's just included with a package deal that also gives money to Ukraine. But there's Republicans in Congress, and maybe even a few moderate Democrats, that have concerns about Ukraine and what they do with money we've been sending them.
Okay, Ray, Chris, Dad, I got a question for you. You ready? Okay, let's set aside everybody's, including Ma's, philosophy or opinion on how much and who we should be giving money to outside the United States, okay? Because there's a lot of variations there. I don't personally believe that we need to be giving money to foreign aids to this amount. I think we can support them if we think that if we think they're in the right. We can support them in different ways when we have the debt that we hold in America. However, that's a lot. We'll set that aside for a minute. How difficult is it, and where can we not find common ground that for every penny that we give to a foreign country, we do not match that with the amount of money we give to Texas, Arizona, California to secure our own border? So for every penny, as a Republican, we should say, Republicans should say, caucus included, everyone should say, okay, we can give $60 billion to Ukraine, but we're going to give $60 billion to Texas, California, Arizona combined to secure our borders. And how come in that room with all the Republicans we can't go 100%? I vote that.
Right. Yeah, I'm. Your point is, and a lot of the point of a lot of Republicans is, we need to secure our home front first before we keep sending millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars overseas.
It'll be more money to Ukraine next year. Yep. I mean, it'll keep happening.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm torn on the Ukraine question.
Yeah, sure.
I know a lot of people aren't like you.
I'm not.
Okay. The reason I'm torn is I lean your direction. What you're saying is that, and Ray, you've traveled in the Ukraine.
Right.
If America quits supporting Ukraine, Ukraine's going to fall to the Russians.
That's guaranteed. May happen anyway. May happen anyway,
Now,
but if we pull out our money, they are going to fall.
Now, a lot of people say, so what? It's not our fight. And if Ukraine falls to the Russians, they've been Russian before. And we don't have the money to continue to hold up the Ukrainian resistance to probably the inevitable. That is, but a lot of people thought
no other country's sending money to us to help us with our border.
Yeah, listen, that's why I'm torn.
Yeah,
because it's like a tennis match. I go, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and I see the ball go back across the net, and I go, hey, that's right.
Sure.
But we're $34 trillion in debt. Does it matter that right? Does it matter that Russia takes Ukraine in the end?
Well,
does that matter?
It's a tremendous shift in the balance of power there, and the Ukrainian people. I'm not talking about is the government over there corrupt? Yes.
Talking about the
Yes.
Ukrainian government.
Yes, yes, and the Russian government is completely in the hands of Putin and his cronies. Okay, so we're not really happy about that, but I think America is better served with a free Ukraine than a Ukraine that is a satellite of I almost said the Soviet Union, but I meant Russia.
Well, also Russia.
I think the last thing I want to say is I think with these bills, we're almost at a point of in for a little, in for a lot. We've given so much.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's a bottomless pit of money. It's going to be required.
Right.
It appears there appears to be no winning objective, no attainable objective of victory for Ukraine.
Same thing with Afghanistan. We were in Afghanistan for half my lifetime, and we have nothing to show for it.
It might be better, and I think Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, or one of them, has said this. And that it may be time for Ukraine to negotiate a settlement where they give up some of their land in return for the end of the war. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very believable that that's where this ends up. Crimea is a sticking point, but Russia already controls a certain part of far eastern Ukraine, which is largely, though not entirely, ethnic Russian. So you could, I think we're not. Well, let's put it this way. I think we're not far from that anyway, Tim.
Yeah, I just
politically,
I don't know Mike Johnson personally. I've met him, but I don't know him like Tony Perkins does. Tony's on the afternoons with us. Tony has Mike Johnson on quite frequently, the Speaker of the House. So he is a fine Christian man and a conservative his whole life. He was a Freedom Caucus guy, but now a lot of people who are in the Freedom Caucus have said, what he is doing and promoting, Mike Johnson, is not consistent with the values that we voted him in for. I'm just telling you, that's the...
And I pray and hope that if there is something behind the scenes that has happened or is happening that would help make sense of all this or make sense of some of this from his position, it's revealed in the next couple of months. Because otherwise he will find himself with people like me as being, quote, a rhino. You work your way there. If what I said doesn't happen, where there's something that we uncover that, or we find out, or he's able to share later that we would need to know about now, because otherwise everything that 90% of what he said,
he's in a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
Look. Does anybody believe Mike Johnson's a rhino? I mean, I think
that's not his history.
No, that's not his history.
I would say no.
Yeah.
No, but Wesley's ready to unleash a rhino.
No. I'm saying at this point.
I know what you.
If he continues and we do this next month, I need an explanation. I'd rather, even if it's as clear as, hey guys, I don't know.
I tell you what the explanation is. You want it?
Think you can do it in a minute and a half?
I can do it in a minute and a half.
All right.
I'll tell you what the explanation is. Here's the explanation. The Republicans are really fearful as a group of being blamed for shutting down the government. And it has proven in the past to be a detriment to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? And it's an election year.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to shut down the government. The Democrats know the Republicans don't want to shut down the government. So if you know somebody doesn't have a lot of negotiating power, then you know how to manipulate them.
Yep.
And so Mike Johnson, I think he said this in an article yesterday, we don't want to shut down the government. That wouldn't be good for us, especially now the Democrats would kill us in November if we shut down the government.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to shut down the government, then you're not willing to shut down the government over, okay, we're not going to fund Ukraine anymore.
Sure.
Or we need the border secure. If those aren't your ultimatums to shut down the border, to shut down the government, then the Democrats know that, and that they're going to exploit your weaknesses.
I think we need to negotiate better.
Yeah. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Abraham Hamilton III.
If you really want to see the tides turning in our country, can I challenge you and encourage you? If the Lord could grab a hold of us in our family, you would see the tide in our politics turn.
The Hamilton Quarter, weekday afternoons at 5 Central on American Family Radio.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. A gag order hearing is scheduled for today in the hush money trial of former President Trump.
Arguments are set to be heard from both prosecutors and defense attorneys for former President Trump in a hearing centered on whether he violated a gag order in the case. Prosecutors say the former president violated the order 7 times, and they're urging Judge Juan Merchan to hold him in contempt. Last week, prosecutors outlined social media posts they say broke the order, including one on Truth Social aimed at Michael Cohen, the former president's longtime fixer and key witness in the trial, calling him a serial perjurer. One of the former president's lawyers says his client's comments should be considered political speech and that he was defending himself from Cohen's attacks. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A judge ruling against New York Attorney General Letitia James to invalidate former President Trump's $175 million bond in his civil fraud trial. Legal spokeswoman for former President Trump, Alina Habba, says Trump will have the money to pay the bond, dismissing concerns over his ability to pay it.
This case should have been in the commercial division. It had no business being in the civil division in front of a judge that today was trying to invalidate any bond and doesn't understand that cash is green.
The Supreme Court hearing arguments this week on whether or not former President Trump is immune from prosecution in a federal case charging him with attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Utah Senator Mike Lee says since the former president was in office on January 6th, presidential immunity should apply.
You have to respect that fact in court, lest every president moving forward is going to be hobbled by a sure awareness of the fact that anything he or she may do could wind up bringing that president into court once that president is no longer in office.
President Biden telling reporters Monday he condemns any and all anti-Semitic protests as anti-Israel demonstrations continued to break out at American colleges nationwide. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance says he believes the president needs to take stronger action to condemn these demonstrations because of any potential danger they face to others.
I don't care what your underlying ideology is. If you're harassing fellow students, if you're preventing people from getting to class, if you're stabbing your fellow students in the eye with flags, you should go to prison.
A national defense analyst believes the radical Iranian Islamic regime got an important message from the Israelis. We can reach into your most important places and do what we want. Chad Groening has more.
In the wake of the retaliatory Israeli attack on Iran, the Islamic Republic denied that there was any damage inflicted on the targeted city of Isfahan. But satellite photos confirmed that a Russian-made air defense battery along with an S-300 radar system were hit in a very limited strike, and the Israelis inflicted far more damage than the massive drone and missile attack Iran unleashed on Israel on April 13th. Bob McGinnis is a senior fellow for national security at the Family Research Council and author of Divided We Stand. He says it was a target-rich environment.
The fact that they evidently have destroyed an S-300, which is not the top-of-the-line Russian air defense system. It's a reasonably good one, but it cannot defeat F-35s because of their stealth capability and the reach of the S-300. So evidently they really blinded the S-300 system, which means that the Russians will probably send another system in there to assist the Iranians.
And McGinnis says it was a pinprick attack intended to send a message.
The message is, we can reach into your most important places and do what we want. They didn't go after the nuclear enrichment facility as they could have, but they went after the system that guarded the nuclear enrichment center. So the Iranians got the message.
I'm Chad Groening.
Global markets are mostly higher after U.S. stocks clawed back some of their losses from last week. On Monday, the S&P 500 rose 0.9%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.7%. and the NASDAQ Composite jumped 1.1%. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty P.
So for God to speak is for God to engage in self-revelation. We only know God because God has condescended to speak to us.
The God Who Speaks is a 90-minute documentary that answers many of the common objections about the Bible's reliability. The film equips believers to confidently base their lives on the power of God's Word. It's available at streaming.afa.net. Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues. That's the name of this show on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. You know we have an app, American Family Radio app, for your smartphone, or if you got a dumb phone, we can't help you, people. I'm sorry. Ray, if somebody's got a dumb phone in this day and age, they need to upgrade.
Yeah, you need to get yourself Android,
yes.
Apple.
You're going to be left
Apple
behind.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dumb phone would be like a old one of those flip phones from 15, 20 years ago.
Well, some people have those, and if you criticize them, they take it personally. Steve Paisley Jordahl joins us. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you going to get hooked on social media if you have a dumb phone?
That's right.
You know, it's important.
Yep. We have an app, American Family Radio. You download the app, takes you about a minute or two. Then you can listen to AFR on your phone or on your iPad or other similar device anywhere you go. You don't have to have one of our radio stations. You just get it off the internet, and people are downloading that by the thousands each month. The American Family Radio app. You going to say, Wesley?
Yes, sir. I'm going to do a quick fact check. We looked it up. Robert Kraft. It has no association with crafting, the Kraft food brand. However, he began most of his finances financial.
He made his money how?
From in 1972, the Robert Kraft that we talked about in the last segment. He founded in 1972 International Forest Products.
Yeah.
Which is a trader of physical paper commodities.
Okay.
That's primarily where
Okay, well, boy, was I wrong. I was given. Well, I said I was unsure.
You said you were unsure.
Yeah.
I said fact check. That was a bit.
Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots.
Spelt the same as Kraft Food.
Yes, he had nothing to do with that, though.
No, sir.
Kraft Foods. He didn't make his money there. I thought he was anyway.
Yep.
Should have known better, but I was unsure. But the point of
you asked us to look it up. I'm going to help you out here. You said let's check this. All right?
He made his money off Tom Brady.
That's right.
Duly noted.
Duly noted.
That's true. Yeah. I had a pastor named Kraft growing up. Roy Kraft. K-R-A-F-T. Yep.
Right. Well, reason he was a part of our news story the last segment was he is a graduate of Columbia, alumni of Columbia University, and he's very upset with what's going on with the anti-Jewish sentiment being allowed to openly express itself on campus with these protesters, and he's said, I'm not giving any more money to my alma mater.
Right.
For now, at least. So that's what that's
after
about.
Those protests get done, we have some anti-terrorism protests that are going to be coming in right behind.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You have the gift of sarcasm.
Yeah. I do.
I don't know where you get that.
It actually is such a. I have to control myself.
You have to dial it back.
I have to purposefully, intentionally dial it back because we live in a world today of double.
We're about to get sarcastic about sarcasm.
Of double standard at its highest.
Right.
That I just can't help myself. So
right.
I let's say that may be my last one for this segment.
Okay. Sarcasm?
Just for this segment.
Don't do that.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Spiritual gift.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Let's see spiritual gift of sarcasm.
Yeah, but hey, seriously though, where is we're talking about the protest? I guess a protest. They're not riding yet, are they?
It's semi-riding.
Pretty
what I can tell.
close.
You're talking about on these Columbia and New York University?
Riding?
R-I-O-T? The question, like for example, are they breaking stuff? Are they spray painting?
I don't even see pictures and videos of them. They're pro Hamas and they're anti-Israel and they're just they're out of control.
There's really little reason for them to do that on campus because the campus, the faculty and the administration agrees with them. So why, burn down your house?
All right. So we're gonna have to move on here.
Yeah.
To some other stories that we were going to talk about. I mentioned there were 3 big stories in the news. One is what's going on in New York on these college campuses, and their confrontations with the New York Police Department now. The riot police are out. And the open anti-Semitism is in New York, as Ray pointed out. The largest Jewish population in the world is in New York City. And so the other story we talked about was the contentiousness in the Republican Party in particular about whether to fund Ukraine. I don't think there's much contentiousness about funding Israel. But also Wesley's talking about there's a lot of people upset about there's no money to secure the border.
Which was in their first one.
Yeah.
About a month ago.
And then the FISA.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that?
A little bit. Essentially they're trying to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, let's save that for another day.
Ray, what do you think about that? Is they going to ban TikTok? The Congress?
I don't see how that's going to work. How does the government ban an app and enforce the app? How do they enforce the banning?
They're going to say that those who are for banning TikTok, and I don't use TikTok, and I see people doing their dances, and I think they look ridiculous. Okay, most of them. But to each his own. All right. So, but at the same time, they're saying, Steve, that the Chinese Communist government takes all the data that you have to put in to register for TikTok and use it. It is putting that all in a
database
in Beijing.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they can do with the information, but to answer your question of how they can do it, Ray, I don't know, but I see
how they can do what?
How they can ban it? How effectively they could do that? So I know that there's a way that they could probably get Apple and all of the app stores to not carry it. And then, have you ever been on your phone and I had a friend who gave me a whole bunch of Beatles songs that I put on my phone. They were on there for about 10 minutes and then they were gone because Apple knew that I hadn't bought them, and so they took them away. And if they can do that with songs, why can't they do that with an app? I'm not sure that it's legal, but if they pass a law, there's ways I think they could do it.
You'd have to explain it a lot better than we just did, because the government banning a social media platform on its face, you're not going to win that one.
Right. The free speech argument, I guess. Anyway, all right, listen, there's a couple of other big stories here. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, I had some trivia that I wanted to run past you, if you don't mind.
Trivia.
I found this really interesting, and I want to get to these stories, but I found this interesting, and I wanted to get to it before the end of the hour. And Tim, you might know this because you do the National Heritage Tours all the time.
Yes.
But I came across some information about the Founding Fathers that I found absolutely fascinating that I didn't know. Let's listen to Cut 13.
Our founding fathers were not old, contrary to our current government. Every time I ask students to describe the founding fathers in 3 words, I hear old white men. But on July 4th, 1776, James Monroe was 18 years old. Aaron Burr was 20. John Marshall was 20. Alexander Hamilton was only 21 years old. Betsy Ross was 24. James Madison was 25. Thomas Jefferson was only 33 on July 4th, 1776. Meanwhile, the other day I'm watching the State of the Union, and I feel like I am watching a live simulcast of the world's most expensive nursing home.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong about
Who
that.
is that?
It was a teacher that posted.
Right.
I didn't know that about the Founding Fathers. That to me is fascinating.
Yeah, well, the life expectancy in the 1700s would have probably been. You'd have been an old man at 45.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. She's talking about our founding fathers were in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's amazing to me. And now we get 20-year-olds on campuses. They're trying to change the country in the wrong direction, but
yeah. Right?
Alexander Hamilton was 21 years old. Not a founding father, a founding kid. I mean, it's just.
I know. Yeah. It's amazing how how brilliant these guys were.
I understand that Hamilton was trying to get into the transfer portal to France, but he wasn't accepted.
you know, the founding fathers and the birth of America, which we do see and experience a lot of it when we go to Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown, and then we go to Washington, D.C. and George Washington's Mount Vernon. That's our spiritual heritage tours in June and September. See, I slipped it into ad mode.
There you go.
Here, so if you want to go with us, if you want to go with us in, well, we have some seats left in September. Go to spiritualheritagetours.com. spiritualheritagetours.com if you want to go on one of our tours. We'd love to have you. But anyway, back to the point that the founding fathers, were young men, but that whole circumstance around the birth of America and the way we were able to survive in the war against Great Britain was a miracle of God. God wanted the United States to exist in human history and to have a global impact on spreading the gospel of Christ. So he birthed the U.S.
And also, I wouldn't discount. I mean, the same miracle that got them through the Revolutionary War was the same miracle that enabled them to conceive of a government with checks and balances, and the way that we have a unique in history representative republic that's lasted more than 250, almost 250 years. That's just astounding. That's an act of God as well, I would submit.
Well, absolutely. And Ray, the human race and human history is just almost totally dominated by kings and tyrants and pharaohs and those kinds of people, right?
You know, I remember when Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, they had his funeral, and his son spoke eloquently about his father's impact. And there was a little line that the son said about his father, Justice Scalia. He said he loved America because he knew how close a call it was that the nation should even be formed. That is to say, we look back and think, well, it was inevitable. Tim, you've already said it's an act of God. But if you just say, humanly speaking, what are the chances a bunch of guys in their late teens and 20s could get together and throw off the power of England, the greatest nation on earth at that time? What are the chances? No, England's favored by about 5 touchdowns in that game, right? There's like no way the colonies could win against England, but the young guys got together and they pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor.
Right.
And under God, it came to pass. Scalia was right. It was not a foreordained outcome. It was a close call, and they put it all on the line. That's a story, Tim, the story of the heroism inside the founding of American Republic. We've forgotten. We need to recapture that in this generation.
Yeah, there are many good books on this subject. Stephen McDowell's America's Providential History is excellent. I read David McCullough's 1776.
It's a great book.
Isn't it a great book?
Great book.
I love that book. I'm going to go read it again. You want an appreciation for what we're talking about in terms of the birth of America being God ordained. Because as Ray said, we had no business beating the Great Britain. We were colonies. You know, we were subjects to the king. We our forefathers, and so they just finally said they had enough of the tyranny. And even so, a lot of the people in the colonies were still loyalists.
Yeah,
that's right.
Still loyalists to the throne. They didn't want to break off from Great Britain.
And the colonies, they weren't a country yet.
No.
I mean, down south, you had the cotton-based economy.
Right.
Up north, you had the industrial-based economy. So it wasn't any sure thing that the colonies were even going to come together and agree on anything.
Yes. Yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, we can maybe have Stephen on to talk about that. Maybe we should be closer to July the 4th. All right, Steve.
Sir.
Steve Jordahl with us. I'm Tim with Wesley and Ray. And if you want to send us an email, the address is comments@afr.net, comments@afr.net. All right, Steve, Another big story going on right now is what the Biden administration is trying to force down the throats of the American people regarding transgendered people.
Right.
And sports. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah. So what we heard from the Department of Education, I believe, was an amendment to Title IX. And remember, Title IX was the ruling that said that you had to facilitate women's sports to the same degree that you facilitated men's sports. Now, obviously, they don't have to put the same amount of money. Alabama doesn't have to put the billions of dollars.
Well, football's in it.
Right.
I think as far as scholarships go, you put football aside, and because football's got 70 or 80 players, scholarships, okay?
Right.
Put that aside. After football, then everything else has to be equal on your campus in terms of scholarships for males and females in sports.
But so just
That's Title IX.
Dateline the 19th. The Biden administration has finalized, I guess it takes effect, is it today or yesterday? New Title IX regulations that codify protections for transgender people. So they're saying that the definition of sex as they define it in Title IX, which historically meant women, now means transgender people as well. So this allows transgender people into the locker rooms and the sports teams and of.
Here's what they're going to do. Okay, here's what Biden is trying to do. I hope this will be defeated, but and this is why I can't stand when we have this fourth branch of government, which is these agencies that aren't accountable to anybody seemingly. They just do what they want. And in this case, the agency is the Department of Education, right?
Yes.
See, this wasn't passed by Congress.
No.
This is just a rule they adopted on their own. But they're promoted by the Biden administration because the Biden administration is the executive branch and they issue these edicts. Okay, again, not passed by Congress, not voted on by Congress. Anyway, with respect to this, what they're wanting to do, what Biden wants to do, is if you, a college or university, receive any federal money at all, then they're saying you must accept this new regulation that we're putting in place, which says that if transgendered dudes want to play on women's and girls' sports teams and go in their locker rooms and shower with them, you need to allow for that. You need to, or else we're going to cut off your money. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on here. And probably go after you and try to fine you too. They're trying to say that a male, biological male, should be able to play on all the women's sports teams across America, and as I say, have access to the changing rooms, the showers, I guess the hotel rooms that the girls travel when they have to play away from home. Complete, total insanity. Puts many women and girls at risk. And destroys women's sports ultimately. And that's what Biden and the Democrats are for. In the name of promoting transgenderism and equal opportunity. That's what they're doing here.
And to state the obvious, it's completely counter to Title IX to begin with.
Right, which is meant to promote women's sports.
Right, and now we're saying that we don't care about women's sports.
That's what they're saying.
We care about...
If as long as a guy identifies as a woman, okay, think about it. We all know this is completely and totally insane.
It is.
You can't. If boys start playing girls' sports,
and we've seen this.
Yes, and that's accepted on a broad scale. Mm-hmm. That will completely and utterly destroy girls at sports. And everybody listening to me, whether you're liberal or conservative, everybody knows this to be true.
Right.
Yep. Go ahead, Steve.
You know what's interesting to me is the speed at which this took over. I remember.
Transgenders.
Yeah, I remember several years ago before Bruce Jenner decided to become a woman, and that they were not. No one talked about it. The LGB didn't want anything to do with the T,
That's
but
right.
once it came out with Bruce Jenner, and then really quickly everybody that's liberal or whatever came on board. It reminds me of how quickly everybody on the left decided that the Palestinian conflict was something that they had to go to war over. This is generation that doesn't really have convictions, but they want to participate in the latest thing, and transgenderism is part of that. They don't really believe in it. They just want to fight something.
Hey, I want to give kudos to CBS broadcaster Tim Brando. I read a tweet by him this morning. He says, quote, "Our education secretary has now basically stated that women's locker room privacy is a thing of the past. Another lie from Biden and his administration on what Title IX was and should be all about. This in the aftermath of one of the greatest seasons in women's college basketball history. It's one thing to have men stealing titles from women in individual sports, but when it starts affecting team sports like hoops, then what? So he says this isn't red states versus blue, it's right versus wrong. Biological men have no business competing against women." And he says some other things there, too.
Drop.
Yeah, but that's Tim Brando, and I think he still anchors CBS Saturday afternoon college football.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big name in the world of college broadcasting, and this is very bold on his. And then people might say, well, I mean, CBS could fire him for this. Now, I don't think they will. He's been around a long time, Ray. But kudos.
This is a gutsy thing.
Yeah.
Tim Brando's a terrific broadcaster,
Yeah.
and he's been around for decades. And most of the guys in that position, let's be honest, I think there are a lot of people in sports broadcasting who agree with Tim,
yes,
but dare not say it out loud.
Right.
He probably has enough seniority.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
that he can get away with doing it.
Yeah, he's lived his career for the most part. I mean,
we'll see. Right?
He's made his money. So, but still, good for him. He ends by saying, "When will more high-profile women, besides Riley Gaines and Sage Steele, speak up and say enough of this?"
That's right.
Now, the good news is the NAIA, which is the Association of Small Colleges, they spoke clearly last week. They said we're not having it.
Yeah.
Women will play women's sports, and men will play men's sports, and that's the end of the discussion.
Sure.
And they voted like unanimously, the small colleges did.
My alma mater is an NAIA school.
Yeah, well, good for them. So we'll see what the NCAA has to say about this. But Biden and his cronies are trying to jam this down the throats of colleges and universities across America. And it's complete. These are the people who believe in science now.
Yeah, right.
They believed in women's rights.
Yeah, they believe in women's rights and science, but they don't know. But they're going to say that a man can be a woman if he feels that way on that particular day.
Instead of in their opinion
lunacy.
Lunacy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we're fighting here in this country. All right. Well, listen, Steve, we only got a minute to go.
Yeah. Let me just say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Elon Musk says that we're going to have AI that's smarter than humans by 2025. There's an article in the Daily Mail that gives a timeline of how that could happen. But basically, they're saying that AI is going to take over the world in a year. So you have a year, folks, to save up all the food.
Actually, if Biden's around, I hope AI does control it. Take over the world. I think that'd be a good thing. They can't be any dumber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This administration. So, anyway, listen.
AI
In all seriousness, our we got a lot of problems, and we need God's help because listen, the worldview that is represented by these God haters, they want to completely change our nation and our country fundamentally, and I just think about our children and our grandchildren and our posterity, and we want them to enjoy the American way of life that we've all come to love and appreciate. And you can't have the blessings of God and then shake your fist at God.
Yep.
Okay? And a lot of Americans are just shaking their fist at God, and we need the remnant of believers to stand firm. Does that make sense?
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, sir. It does.
Will that preach, Ray?
Preach it, Tim.
All right. I'll preach it because I can't sing it, evidently. Nobody wants to listen to me sing. I'll just go to my car and sing.
We still got to figure out who we're going to blame for this.
Yeah. Oh, it's genetics. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Keep listening to American Family Radio.
And my father, your great-grandfather, fought in World War II.